Hello, my name's Adam Boulter. I'm the Dean and Principal of the Theological College, Bible College really, of Tolaira, which is in the southwest of Madagascar. We're a very small college, just 9 students who are training up to be ready to go and do a theology degree to be ordained as priests, or being trained up in order to become lay evangelists out in the field. The diocese is very new. It's only been going about 10-15 years, and it's grown enormously. So we're somewhere between 90 and 110 churches, with about somewhere between 7,000 and 9,000 members. It was a bit hard to count these things accurately. It's growing, it's dynamic, and they are a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful bunch. This is the poorest corner of what is really quite a poor country. So we have continual worries with transmittable diseases, usually treatable ones, but people without the money to treat them, and with famine. So right now, the main anxiety in the middle of this COVID outbreak, students have been sent home with boxes of soap and hand washing instructions to teach their local communities how to wash hands. We're concerned that we can't really contain a spread of COVID if it gets here. It hasn't so far. Because people live so close and on top of each other, often with 4 families living in one small hut. But there's also a certain reality that COVID might well not have a big impact directly. The secondary impact, however, will almost certainly be disastrous. The vaccination programs have halted. Most food programs have also halted. We have a famine going on in the deep south. Transport around Madagascar is very, very hard at the best of times. In rainy season it becomes almost impossible. There aren't really roads. So getting food into famine-hit areas is very, very difficult and has simply stopped. So we're very worried that over the next 6 months, a year, we're going to have acute famine and quite possibly another outbreak either of plague, which happens periodically here, or of measles. So we're very anxious about that, and the communities are anxious about that, as well as being anxious about the general issue of COVID. Which, as I say, hasn't really reached here very much. Meanwhile, there's actually an anxiety about how we carry on funding the diocese. This is a growing diocese. It requires money to do so, and that, while the little money goes a very long way here, Western donors are getting more and more jumpy about giving any money outside of their own communities. The fear generates a shutdown in generosity, and we're seeing that happening with this fear around COVID. So that's the situation here. And my reflections on the situation back at home are really, I think, quite particular. So I say it hasn't really reached here, COVID, but the fear has, and fear is infectious and is dangerous in itself. It distorts people's ability to think clearly and keep things in proportion. One of the realities of living here is that you deal with death on a daily basis. People die regularly of entirely treatable diseases. People die regularly of starvation. People die very, very young. Lots of infant mortality here, lots of childhood mortality here. We're talking about a country where you're lucky to get 40. So I think if there's anything really I have to say to the West, it's that death happens. We are all going to die. At some point I will die, at some point you will die. We all die. The mortality rate is 100% and always will be and always has been. The question is, what do you do with your life in the meanwhile? And the answer to that, I think, is we try and serve each other, we try and serve the Lord our God, we try and love one another. And that is part of what we're called to do as Christians. That's part of what our hope is and our message is for the rest of the world. There is more to life than death. Do not let death and the fear of death define how we live our lives, and do not let our selfishness destroy other people, which is what I also fear is going to happen. Thank you.